You've reached Monster 911, and I'm Lance Hightower. I've been taking cryptid emergency calls for over 5 years. If you have a cryptid emergency, please call our toll-free number, 866-306-8085. I can help you. What's your emergency? We're back, everyone, with today's show 3 of our first series, War with the Dogman. I'm Lance Hightower, your show host and seeker of knowledge in this strange, real world of cryptid paranormal creatures that roam all across the country. This is Monster 911, and it's so glad to be with you. And I'm so glad that you're following us on various social media platforms listed in the description below, as well as please visit our website at www.monster911.com. And if you've had a creature paranormal experience that you're still reliving each week, each day, each month, each year, then call me. Really, we should talk. Call toll-free 1-866-306-8085, and let's talk. I will usually return your call within 24 hours, and it will be me, Lance, that will speak with you. You'll be so glad you did. And parents, please use some parental discretion with this series. There will be some language and graphic content that is a little too much for young ears. Now, for Day 3's show, we will continue with this guest who shares his observations as well as his colleagues' observations with these frequent occurrences with these Dogman creatures and their terrifying abilities. And be sure to stay tuned for tomorrow's Show 4 in this series.
We were fishing there one night, and I looked up to the right of me. My brother goes, "What the f*** is that?" And I looked over, and it looked just like a werewolf. All we seen was an outline. Big pointy ears. That was the weird thing. Really pointy ears. Big pointy ears. German Shepherd. I know that's another thing they look like. These look like German. You know what these look like? They don't look like monkeys or anything like that. They do not resemble a monkey whatsoever. You gotta make that clear.
So this is more of the canine, people talk about different
100%.
types. This is more of the canine version. You've got something that walks upright as well as going quadruped. They're built like a bodybuilder, but even bigger. And they have a tail. They have a tail.
What's that?
They have a bushy tail.
Yeah, well, some do. 2 of them don't. Altogether, we were able to, I don't know, I think we think that there's about seven different ones. Some of them look a lot alike. Like, it's very hard, especially when you're seeing them. It's not like they're stepping out like a deer in the middle of the field all the time. You take it when you can see it, but it's hard to get a good look to where you can study and say, okay, well, that one's that one. You got to remember that one has a little scar above its eye. That one's left ears down. It's hard to do that, It could be looking right at you, 10 feet away from you, but if it's pitch black, you're only going to see certain things,
Mm-hmm.
Certain one's fatter. That's the older one. It's gray. It's got a little bit of gray where it's, believe it or not, believe it or not. It's got a gray line that goes up. It stops about halfway where its belly is. And I don't want anyone to, want you to think that, when I mean it's got a gut, like, it's out of shape. I mean, it's got a little gut, but it's like a gut with like an 8-pack.
Oh, right.
So, I mean,
yeah.
It's not. It just looks a little bloated. You can tell it's a little older. And yeah, they're very. They're smart. That's the thing. They're very, very smart.
So what's the smartest thing that you've seen? How long have you, from the time you first saw it to now? It's been how many weeks or months or?
How many weeks or months?
Yeah, from the first time you saw one of these things at this place to right now.
3 months and 2 days, give or take.
That's not been that long.
Yeah, give or take a day.
So what's the smartest, most bizarre, asinine thing you've seen these things do that you just cannot, mind-blowing, it's incredible?
Believe it or not, they can I watched one open up a car door, of this little tiny, when they were doing the construction here, I was here, like looking out, figuring out what I wanted to do, figuring out where I wanted stuff, where I was going to post dudes at, where I wanted, a sniper at, what's a good rifle spot, where's a good machine gun, pistol, everything. And one opened the door. And this Mexican kid, he was probably 17. He had this little gray Honda. He kept telling me every time he would go to his car for lunch, the seat would be sat in, and he said it stinks so bad. And his whole lunch would be opened up, taken out of the sandwich bag, eaten, everything eaten, and all the bags crumpled up and thrown back into his cooler. And it was one of them coolers that you push, I think Igloo makes them, you push both sides, and it slides left or right. You slide it, you pull out your drink, slide it back. And so you have to push the two buttons. And for something like a monkey, if you were to go to the zoo and take one of these and throw it at the monkey, eventually they'd probably break it open. There's no way right now that they would each look at this thing, stick one finger on one side, one on the other one, push, and watch, and then slide the thing down. There's no way. Not by just throwing it at the thing when it's never seen it, you know? So it's obviously been watching him and everybody, these construction workers, eat, because later that night, this Mexican kid ended up leaving on a Friday night with a bunch of the dudes to go out drinking or whatever they do, you know, when they get done.
Right.
He leaves his vehicle there. He asks me, hey, can I leave my vehicle here? And at first, people don't, why we're there, who we are. Every single little detail counts. That car is a security risk now because somebody can hide behind it. Like, they don't get that.
Right.
Well, my car's all the way out here. So, you still could hide behind it. Now you're halfway to me. What says, I didn't see you get to there? How do you know I'm going to see you get to here? You know, that's what people don't get. You got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to. Every human does that, and you got to do it. I don't care how tough you are, I don't care how smart you are, you know, how good your eyesight is. And this thing, and there was two other dudes that were actually right behind it. They didn't know what was going on. They weren't close, but they were actually walking towards them. And they had their flashlights on there. Each one of my partners walked along each side of this car, without even seeing anything. They had no clue what was going on. I'm looking at this, and my mouth's dropped. That's what they said, and they said my mouth was dropped. I just had the look of like, are you kidding me right now? And it opened the door, put its hand on top where, like, if you were to open the door, hand on top of, like, where the top of the window is. Yep. Opened the door up, sat its big ass in there, and when it sat down, you could see the car. Boom. He weighed so much that 2 days later, the kid came back for his vehicle. He got like 10 minutes down the road, each tire exploded. The left tire, every one of them exploded. Well, 3 of them exploded, and then he got like 10 more feet, and I guess the other one exploded. Took it to the mechanic and everything, and he said, were you hauling anything heavy? Because this is, no, it was from the Dogman sitting in there eating his lunch. Blew his tires out, all the wear of it from constantly him doing that. I guess this is an everyday thing, to the point where the kid wouldn't even bring his lunch anymore. And then he put his lunch in the trunk, put his lunch in the back seat, covered it with sweatshirts. The thing got it. Put it in the trunk was ripped open. Thing got it. So I don't know what kind of food he was making, but the thing really liked it. So that was a young one. That wasn't an old one, believe it or not. You think it would be an older one. The older ones are smart. That's why they're old. That's why. Just like an old buck, an old wolf, or a bear. They made it that long, not by just being tough, They're smart. And this thing just brazenly walked right over there and just eating this guy's food and sitting in the car and,
That's incredible.
Sniffing around, making ridiculous noises that's the thing. The noises are what throws me off. Sometimes I think it's a dog. And they can mimic certain things very well, like coyotes, dogs. I thought there was a coyote 10 feet in front of me. This actually happened 2 days ago. I thought there was a coyote. It was loud, screaming. And it was right in the dark part of this woods. Where I'm at right now is a little clearing, and there's a little bit of woods. The lights weren't installed yet. We just got these lights put in. So huge lights. They're way up in a tree. They were way up in trees. They all got smashed down. Now they're up on posts. Hopefully they don't get smashed down now. I'm sure they will. And I heard this coyote screaming. 10 feet. I've hunted coyote my whole life. I know what they sound like. You know what they sound like, especially with your brother and everything. And it was like 10 feet in the dark right in front of me. I hit the light on, and I was so petrified of what I seen. I hit the light, and I just put it back down. I'm like, well, I can't outrun these. What do I do? Are they like trying to get me to come into them? What are they doing? And I put the light up. All I seen was there was bushes, lots of bushes and trees and everything. All I seen was like 4 heads. They all looked the same. I knew what they were, and they were all just staring. And they were almost shaped like a V. Like there was from top, and then there was one at the top. You know what I mean?
Right.
Shaped like an arrow pointing at me. So they looked like almost like a little arrow. The way they were standing, it was almost like they did that on purpose. Like the way they were standing, and they're just looking at me. I was so petrified. Oh my God! I almost threw up. I mean, I'm like, am I really gonna die here? Here?
So you were on the ground right with them.
Oh yeah, right there. I mean, this was a no-win. If I would have pulled my gun out, even if I would have shot one, how are you going to kill the other 3? I mean,
you can't.
You're not.
You can't.
You can't.
So tell me, what is, because I have my theory, and it's just a theory based on what Dave on our team saw when he saw this one run off. He had one come in about 1,000 meters out, and it was black. And he said it looked like a car hood of a Lincoln coming in, and he thought he was calling in the bear. And he thought, well, this is a first. And it got to about, it went in a wash bed about 3/4 of a mile away, and it jumped down. It was coming in on 4s, and about 400 meters out, it stood up. And he's looking at this with his naked eye. He's going, what the frick is this? And so he's got a mil-dot reticle scope on it.
Yeah.
He's got a 223, just a 50 grain heads on these some of the ammo, which is coyote, loads.
Yeah.
And he looks and he goes, it's on 10 power, and he goes, what the heck? It stood up. And then, of course, he didn't call anymore, and then he cranked it up to 24 power, and then with that mil dot there, he checked it twice. He said, Lance, I checked the height and the width twice, thinking something was wrong, and I checked. He said it was 7.5 feet tall and about 550 pounds, and he said I could see the saliva dripping off the gums.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to tell you, the saliva. Lots of saliva. Lots of saliva.
Really?
Yeah, lots. Tons. That's there's so much evidence. Everyone, I mean, people around there know it. I mean, it's weird. Very weird that the old-timers around here, they won't come out after night. They're very, very, very... You knock on their door? I knocked on this person's door. They were sitting on the couch. I could see them. I'm knocking on the door, pounding on the door. They would not come to the door. Tapping on the window.
Oh, they
wouldn't
know.
even look.
They know. They know then.
Yeah. And so the next day, the guy's getting his mail. I approach him kind of slowly. The way I was dressed, I was almost in a ghillie suit. I got all this shit on, and I kind of yelled at him first. He looked at me, and he kind of like started moving back a little bit. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. He's like, oh, are you reporting what's going on in there? I said, what the f-? I was pissed. He goes, what? I said, I slammed on your door all night long on your window. I said, I could have been dead. I said, someone could have been hurt. He goes, oh, is that you? I said, yeah, it was. He goes, yeah, we don't answer our doors or windows after night. He's like, and you're lucky that you even did get a glimpse of us, because usually we have the curtains shut. I mean, he was real quick to be aggressive back to me, And he wasn't a happy guy at all about having what's going on there. He kept saying, if you wouldn't, I tried to get to talk to this guy, and he's not getting me. He kept saying, you're going to disrupt them. That's all he says. You're just going to disrupt them. You're going to make them angry again. What do you mean again? What? Has this happened before? Has somebody tried to live here before and they want the war with the things? I know they die. I mean, I don't get. It's just weird. But yeah, he's like, we don't answer our doors after nighttime, and they don't. Very, very. They're serious about that. I mean, you could pound on the door, pound on it. I pound on the back door, the side windows, the fact that I'm 20 feet away from somebody looking at them. They know I'm pounding on the door because they have that look in their face like, oh, just go away, Just
well, you know what that tells me? That tells me right there that these dogmen have done the very same thing, and they've learned to ignore it so long, they're oblivious to it, that it's happened. These dogmen have banged on the window and the door, and they've ignored it, so they can't distinguish a human from, someone pounding on the door. It's a human versus a dogman, and it's happened.
You're exactly right. Exactly right, because the wife is a very, very, very nice woman, very peaceful, soft voice, the opposite of him. And she talked to me, and she was very hard to, like we're talking right now. I'm kind of rambling a lot, but she was very hard to keep on point. She would want to switch and say, "Oh, I'm going to go pick some flowers," and stuff like that. It was like nothing. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure. It's supposed to snow tomorrow, too. You know that?" Yeah, the werewolf, it killed, that family not too long ago. But anyways, it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow. That's how she was acting.
What?
Oh, yeah, like nothing.
She was desensitized.
People go, and then she starts telling me stuff. We don't have dogs anymore because they're all disappeared. I said, what? She goes, yeah, I wish they would come home. I'm like, what? I wish they'd come home. I said, well, they all run away. No, they took them. Well, okay, they took them, the creatures. Yeah, they took them and ate them. She kept saying they're not creatures. She was very adamant about that. It was the only time I seen her show any kind of like...
Was she Amish?
When I started calling them creatures. So she obviously sees these things, and I'm betting that when she's out in her garden, because the woman's always in her garden, they walk by, and it's like nothing to her. Oh, hi! She probably feeds them and stuff. Yeah, I told her, I said, when I was growing up north, I lived up there for a while. I got a lot of family up there, where they make zip. I said I lived in this, like, way back, way up in the mountain. There's a couple camps. I said, we lived there, and there was an old couple there. They always fed the bears, the black bears, with bread. They would go out there and feed it, to the point that the one bear came into the guy's house and sat on the couch, and they all thought that was just wonderful. They got a picture of it and everything. That same bear ripped his throat out one day for doing that. And she, like, looked at me kind of and said, and she goes, well, they would never hurt me. It's still an animal. And I'm telling you now, if it's hungry or you have food in your hand and he just thinks you're going to take that food from him or whatever, and predator thinks, he's going to, and he smells the blood or tastes that, that's it. I mean, any predator just like running away from him.
Yeah, they don't ask for permission. They just act very quickly.
Yeah, the fact that she was just acting like it was just, another day in the neighborhood.
Was she Amish?
What's that?
Was she Amish?
No. English, believe it or not.
Wow.
The Amish, that's another thing. The Amish, I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to have to leave here soon. I got to go take care of something.
Yeah.
But,
and then I have one more question for you after you get through answering
I would like to talk to you again, maybe even, I don't know, Sunday night. I don't know if you're doing any, or...
I won't now.
What's that?
I said I won't now. I'll be talking to you.
Oh, I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. It's just, it's hard. In fact, I think that there's probably a dog man right now. My motion detector just went off, and I can almost guarantee no raccoons ever come here because they'll just get eaten. No raccoons. Zero. No raccoons. No possums.
Really?
In the daytime, you'll see groundhogs. It's very rare. You don't hear birds. You don't hear anything. In fact, the wife.
So no raccoons, no squirrels, no possum?
Nothing. I mean, this is their area, and nothing comes here. What's weird is the Amish, well, back to that lady when she said, I wish that my dogs would come home. I said, they're probably dead. She goes, no, they're not. I see them every now and then. What? I said, what? Yeah, I see them every now and then, with them. And I said, well, what do you mean? But she said she had a real little terrier, one of them Yorkshire Terriers, real tiny rat dogs.
Yeah?
And she's seen this thing holding it. Just holding it.
What?
Like, just staring at them, holding it. She said it's always in the evening time. And she said the dog will be licking him and stuff, and the thing will put the dog down. And she says no matter how many times she calls, that dog, she said the one time it tried. Like, it started to, and it wanted to, and I said that the one dog, man, got down on all fours and kind of just, like, growled, and the thing followed it back into the woods. Every single dog.
Mackerel.
Every single dog. I mean, she she was showing me pictures of the dogs. She was pulling these pictures out. And there was like 1 dog, 2 dogs, 3 dogs, 4 dogs, 5 dogs, 6 dogs, 7 dogs, and they've lived there since 1962.
Since
and
how?
She's had dogs since they got married, and they got married
since
right when they built their
1952.
house. That's a lot of dogs.
Holy mackerel!
None of her dogs have made past the age. Well, they probably have, but judging by what she was telling me, but she hasn't had a dog past the age of 2 or 3 years old. She said when they're puppies, they don't want anything to do with it. Nothing. But when it's get out of that puppy stage, they always disappear. It's almost like the dog was saying, hey, you're coming with us, deal with it. Don't ever go back, or we're going to eat you, you know?
Wow.
People, see, my only problem with all of this is with the only thing that's affecting me. I'm to the point now that we're almost down to at peace with these things, I guess you could say. I'm not, but I am, just because I haven't had problems. I have had lots of problems, obviously, but not the problems as to where right when I go outside, the thing's ground behind, dripping spit on my chin or on my back of my neck. Nothing like that, you know. It never came at me. It did come at me a couple times aggressive, but not like, probably less aggressive than a bear. And it was just enough to where it was more scary than a bear, but just enough to where it didn't, like, it kind of just took a couple steps at me, growled, shook its shoulders, like, like, I don't know what it was doing. Shook its shoulders, and they have different body movements, I've noticed. We've caught on to that. We can tell. I can tell right away about if one's flying across the field, that thing's either hunting, coming for me, or being chased by something else, something bigger. Because they don't do that. Like, cut across the field diagonal. They'll never cut across the field diagonal. They always follow the tree line. If that tree line makes a zigzag, they're going to zigzag. You're not going to cut through it, ever. Nope, not these ones. These ones are very distinct. They've been here a very long time. The Amish know about them. They even have, like, a secret, like, they know things about these things. They don't bother them. They don't bother them. They do, like, they're very superstitious people, and they do a lot of superstitious stuff. And I'm starting to believe it works because they do not the Amish. And the Amish walk through the woods without flashlights in the dark. Nope, don't bother them. There has been a couple of them gone missing, and they're usually teenagers. Besides, you know, English people don't realize that just because they're Amish and, you know, clean living and all that doesn't mean that the teenagers don't go out and have sex, drink, and smoke weed, you know. Those ones go missing.
Could you tell me real quick, how fast have you seen these things run?
Well, I'll tell you, oh my God, I can't even. It's just once you hit up to about 60 miles per hour, they can take a dead sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour. I guarantee it's faster. I know it's faster than a cheetah. There's no way. There's no fun. Now, it couldn't keep up with a cheetah, like, for a long distance, 70 miles per hour. It couldn't do that. But it would keep up. It would keep up with the thing. It would get it, definitely. They're just so fast. They chase rabbits and catch them like it's nothing. I mean, it's just.
So 60 is nothing. 60 miles an hour.
60 miles an hour would probably be the max. Like, an old one at brute speed, pissed off, chasing you, full speed, everything he's got. I don't know about the other one. I don't know about the young ones. They might be able to. Anything's possible with them, because when I seen one of them crawl up, it looked like a man crawling up. Imagine a man crawling up a wall. Imagine if he had his feet, his knees weren't touching the wall, just his hands and his feet, the tips of his feet, you know, and he starts scurrying up the wall as fast as he can. Imagine if he could just stick on the wall almost like Spider-Man.
Exactly.
And when he gets to the top, to be able to swing your body over barbed wire while still having one arm across to the other side of the chain link fence, swung his body up.
How did it do it? So it crawled up, and then it swung its body over the barbed wire?
Yeah, it, like, prepared itself. Like, it was standing there and it started huffing and puffing, like, real bad. We're like, holy shit. I was in the crow's nest and I had my AR right on this bastard. I just switched guns and put a 3.5-inch slug in one of these shotguns. I hang out when I was on my job because I was that close to it. Had it right on his head. And things start huffing and puffing. It's looking at my one partner. I mean, right in the eyes. It's this pissed off look. And it looks like it's about to get him. It's like looking sideways, and all of a sudden, no! Runs up the fence as fast as it can. Does like a cartwheel. It's a cartwheel. That's what it is. He did like a cartwheel.
Holy
He kept his right hand on there, and my buddy looked at me, up at me. We're all looking at each other, and he goes, how the f***? I'll never forget it. He just put his gun down. Like, he put his gun down on a sling. He didn't put it on the ground. That's a no-no. But he put it on a sling. He's like, how the f***? What the f***? That's what he kept saying. I said, what? How do you fight something like that? What is that? How do you comprehend that? Is it, how? Are we seeing something? Were we given something? Were we given something that, sorry, I just got a little startled here for a second.
No, go ahead. You do
what you
what you
given something that, something just ran right underneath me right now, actually. Keep the thing. But, yeah. See, that's a good example right now. Is I know there's one of them there right now. And we have one of them that's called Stinky. He smells like the most terrible. Imagine hay, wet hay. People say wet dog because it is a canine and it has that smell, but it's not even like, I can't even explain it. It's probably like the worst smelling wet dog roadkill, and he stinks. And when he's around, he's mean too. He doesn't really, I don't know what that one is. We see it every now and then, and he likes to f with your head real bad. That's what we think. That or he's just weird like that, and that's how he is. He's an outcast. They don't like him. Maybe it's because he stinks. I don't know. That's what we always joke about. They do not like him at all. I'm being dead serious. There's no, if they're eating or we see them, we know if I see the really, really black one, he's got to be the alpha male. Big, huge arms, the biceps. That's what really sticks out with this one. And the hair's thicker on the shoulders down to the arms, about halfway down the arm to where you could bend your elbow. The hair's thick. Right there, it's almost like it's a short sleeve. That's what it looks like, almost like a short sleeve. He's the big boy, I think. We all think, because there's been no other way we think that is. Anytime we've seen these things more than once, he runs it, you know. And when I seen the all four of them sitting there, just looking at me like, ha, you know, just staring at me like that, he was in the front. Like, he's always, if you hear a bunch of them, or we hear coyotes, that's another good one. We hear tons of coyotes. Like, our first night there, the Amish that were working there were spending the night near there, probably 30 feet away from the house. They had their horses out grazing in this little area. They made a makeshift fence out of a rope. And the horses could go underneath like this awning. I don't know, it's probably 15 by 15, you know. It was only covered on two sides, and the horses would just go underneath there. And they, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry about that. I'm going to have to leave. I got to go deal with something, but,
yeah, go ahead.
I'll tell you right now. I have an intercom on this phone right now that's connected right to the phone. It messages me, and you can call me if you get scared. And one night, this is, probably 2 weeks ago. In fact, I'm going to go check in probably 5 minutes, but she heard a tapping on the window. Thought it was a tapping on the wall. She thought there was somebody in the house. And I said, no. Are you sure? Yes. I said, that's impossible because, you know, it's brick.
Right.
Anything's possible with these things. If people want to get. It is possible. Well, that was, you know,
Good night.
That was me. I'm trying to calm down. I'm on my way. Well, I'm not a cat parent to where if my says I see somebody in my room, I don't just blow that off. I automatically grab my piece and I'm going to open up closet doors because in my line of work and whatever, I'm already like, man, wouldn't that surprise me? It would surprise me to hear stuff like that.
Right.
My kids' clothing have bugs in them, so I can track them. They get picked up by, whoever. Someone picks them up, try to get to me, I can track them. Lots of stuff. But each babysitter, I don't have nannies. I'm not rich, like that. I'm well off, I'm not going to say I'm very grateful, but I'm not going to.
Sure.
I'm grateful, but I've put in the work for it too. So where it's blood money anyways, to where in my eyes, I can be arrogant and say, well, I think today I'm going to go blow a little bit of money.
Well, it ain't bragging if you did it and if you've done it. So
Exactly.
it is what it is. So
Exactly.
I know you.
But,
I know you're busy, man, and I just appreciate your time, and I will let you go, and then we'll keep next. If the same time works,
definitely.
I'll give you a call, but I'll text first.
Yeah. Always shoot me a text first. If I don't respond in the matter, I'm very quick to text back. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah.
I'll probably text back right away.
Okay, and I'll let you go, buddy, and I'll let you get what you got to do there. And man,
Yeah. Hey, once again, man, I really, really appreciate talking to you. I feel a lot better. It's very hard we can't talk about this to each other because we're not supposed to talk about it. We've already been threatened that, we're going to lose everything. 20 feet underground.
You can't talk to anybody out in the real world about it either because they're going to think you're smoking peyote out there,
I told one of my relatives he had a Bigfoot. He really believes in Bigfoot. I kind of just hinted to it, and he goes, "Oh, I don't believe in that."
Yeah.
So I realized. I, in fact, even looked at the guy and said, "As much as you know about it, as much as you know, you're going to sit there and say, oh, I don't believe you. What do you know what you're saying?" So, I mean, it's just...
Well, it's that's just it. People are very certain of what they know and don't know. And here's what I've come to realize, my brothers and I, there's a whole lot of we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I've been places where the Aboriginal people, like in the middle of nowhere, were places where they know we've never been that far. We have never gone out far in the Amazon. Now, I'm not saying I was there. I'm just saying I was close to there, and the Aboriginal people, anywhere I've gone, all over the place, I've lived with these people, just like them. I mean, I have my machine gun always, and my clothes and stuff like that, but I'm living with these people. I'm living, eating, sleeping with them, hiding, trying to hide. That's what I'm doing, hiding from them with these Aboriginal people. So I'm living with them. All they talk about, anytime people can say, well, there's lots of monsters out there. I will tell you right now, you talk to Native Americans, you talk to these Aboriginal tribes that are in the middle of nowhere that still don't wear T-shirts. They still don't, they have, and all the pictures they have, drawings on caves, on paper, the art they do. You don't realize that these Aboriginal, they're artistic, actually. There's a lot of about Dogman. And starts putting two and two together. You see these things everywhere, and they're telling us stories. It was more of a shapeshifter type of deal with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, the evidence is sickening. I mean, and the funny part is, the guy that I was talking about, you said his name was it Rich? The guy who had the experience with the laptop. They tried to take his laptop.
Oh yeah, Richard.
Yeah, he would probably. He would probably, I'm sorry, I gotta go.
Okay,
I gotta go right
I'll
now.
let you go. Okay.
I'll shoot you a text and we'll get together, all right?
Sounds good, buddy. Take care.
All
Be
right.
safe.
Thank you.
Bye. So, this was one of the most incredible interviews I've ever done since I've been doing this. I'm just going to give a little commentary here. So right now, it's 2 in the morning exactly here, Central Standard Time. Everybody's asleep here in the house. And I got this message on the toll-free number of this guy that basically said that he had received a toll-free number from a friend of his brother. And as you heard, he was kind of in and out. It was bad reception. Not only where he's at, it's very remote, somewhere. But he is a former military, and so he basically told me some things that it's incredible on these Dogman creatures. The guy, I found him to be credible during this interview. Matter of fact, he is currently on the job right now. He works, I guess, 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. shift. He's up in a tower. He's off the ground, about 30 feet up. So it's at night. He's got all these perimeter cameras, perimeter sensors, and they have night vision. Some of the highlights here that he said that I listened to is just incredible, but he was saying that these things carry dogs around and pets around like their pet. So somehow they interact with other canines. They don't like puppies, but they like when the dog is more matured. There's people in the area that have known about these things for years. One neighbor, he interacted with her. She's not Amish. Since 1952 they've been around, and they walk by her, and the lady calls them her dogs. So she's either brainwashed or something. They have a specific way these things run. They run at diagonals. How they run determines what they're after. If they're after something, they're going full speed, and they're going at diagonals. They follow the wood line. If the wood line's not straight, they'll follow the wood line in zigzag. They're very bold and brazen. They know how to open doors. They know how to have hand dexterity in opening coolers. They know how to... they have the dexterity enough to remove lunch out of a bag, fold the bag up, and put it back in a cooler that you have to compress both buttons on each end to open up the cooler and then close it back. The part where he talked about the horse being killed was incredible. 3 bites and the horse's head was decapitated. It was very bold. It knew that it was being looked at by these, and it still killed the horse anyway. It drug who knows if it's a full-grown horse. It sounds like it was a full-grown horse, and it drug this full-grown horse with its head decapitated. It drug it, he said, easily, and we're talking probably at least a 900 to 1,000, maybe even 1,200 pound animal. Maybe even more. That's incredible. These things can easily go over a fence, and they cartwheeled over a 3-strand barbed wire fence. It didn't keep them out. They can run up to 60 miles an hour that he's aware of. Their feeding range is somewhere around, it stops somewhere around, he said 70 to 80 miles. Their top end speed is around 60. Maybe the young ones might do faster, but I'm going to say possible 60 to 70 miles an hour. They're using titanium tipped ballistics in their ammo, pushing out 3,800 feet a second. They always carry a knife. Each one has a different characteristic about it. He said that they're anywhere from 7 to 8 feet in height, and basically the young ones are around 750 pounds, which is incredible. Incredible to think about something that big, that fast, that strong. He wasn't sure if they had retractable claws or not, but they do have claws. It's more of the canine version. There's no hybrid about them. They have an affinity and ability to mimic repeated patterns, tapping sounds, different types of... He said they could even whistle, which is incredible to me. How can a predator whistle? They mimic coyotes extremely well, and one of them waved at him, and a buddy of his, it waved at him. It freaked them out. The neighbors in that area did not come to the door when pounding on the door. That tells me it's been going on for a long time. The neighbors have known about these creatures. They're definitely in a social structure. He didn't say that he saw any young ones or any females. He didn't talk about any mammary glands or anything on these guys. So I don't know if he's just encountering the males. But there's one that was older. The hair, basically, he was saying they're black in color. Dogs go missing. Dogs do go missing. And that there was no squirrels, possum, or raccoons in the area, period. They pretty much dominated that area in taking probably all the food sources out. I asked about a water source. He said there was a big pond/lake in the area. And he used to fish in some of those areas, and he remembers seeing a silhouette of what looked like a wolf some years ago. My mind's just blown right now trying to think about what else he's talked about. He basically has been on the job 3.5 months. It tells me they still don't know the full intellect of these creatures. He said there was 3 killed thus far. They're not in an observation mode, but he sees them every freaking day. So he's like getting used to these creatures. So he's like in a mode of somewhere between taking them out and leaving them alone. So I'm still confused. If he sees these things so often, how come they just can't shoot them? But I didn't ask him that. I was just trying to listen more than speak. I wanted to stop a million times to talk to him here, but he's almost 28 years old, this young man, but he's had a lifetime experiences, Purple Heart, military training. He's almost died. He died on the table and came back. He is in charge of some of the surrounding security of this remote home at this location somewhere. I didn't want to get too detailed. I hope he doesn't get in trouble or anything like that. But it's making me second guess some of the things that we need to do next time we go to western Oklahoma. If they have a feeding range of 75 to 80 miles, then they're going to need food sources, close food sources, to maintain a body that big. So that feedlot will be an area. And it sounds like these things are smart enough, they could take vengeance. That if they're coming at you full speed, you're going to have to do a headshot. You're going to have to do a headshot. And you better be right on the money. So the ballistics we're talking about, the guns, is very much in line and congruent to what we had thought. These guys had found out, it sounds like the hard way, that they needed to switch to a titanium tip to have deeper penetration. I said 3,600 feet a second. He said 38, at least 38. So I didn't get into so many questions. I'm going to contact him next at midnight and get some rest ahead of time to be able to discuss some things with him, because this is incredible stuff here. So I tried to hit the high points there. I'm still trying to rush in my head some of the things that to remember. He talked about one being extremely foul, one sitting in a car of a Hispanic guy. They were building this home, and the guy later blew his tires out because something that's Dogman had really weighed down the car. Very close to him a couple times, and they did nothing. They're very bold and brazen. They have a high degree of intelligence. I could tell that he didn't quite know to what level. But they have an ability to think. I didn't get into the language. If these things if he's heard a bit, he's heard them. They have some language. I'm sure he would have mentioned that, but we didn't get into it. I didn't have time. So he had to leave. Something was underneath his tower when we were talking. He said it was probably one of the ones that's, it's so common that these are just out all the time. I blows my mind to know that these things are just roaming freely. It definitely is making me think about our firearm situation, what we need to carry, how we need to do it, getting our ammo changed. I'm dead serious about that. Need to practice a hell of a lot more. These things are no joke. If they're at 750 pounds, these things are no freaking joke to mess with. So I'm thinking, and we can't screw around. I don't want anybody hurt over this, but I want to be able to film this too. So, what else did he talk about? I didn't know how serious this guy was going to be or anything, but he's the real deal. He's telling the truth. He's not making any of this up. I can tell he's not making any of this up. I can hear it in his voice. I can hear it. He's just matter of fact. It's so unbelievable that he knows it sounds unbelievable. He knows that I would think it'd be unbelievable, but by remaining to my mind to be open, I know he's telling the truth. I know he's telling the truth. He's not lying to me. And I just know he's not. That's about all I can say. I can hear it in his voice. So I guess I'm going to end here. It's, again, a little after 2 a.m. This is, now it's February 7th, 2018. And this has probably been one of those incredible interviews I've ever done about these creatures that we want to learn so much about. And this is, it was well worth being tired. So I'll turn it off here and try to collect my thoughts and try to get some rest here. And we'll get back at it here again. Over and out.